Part 7, Second Burial of Jesus. 15th of the 771 CE, 10 p.m. to 16th of the 771 CE, 1 a.m. Jesus was Simon Peter, the same person. The second burial of Jesus began at the end of the Last Supper at Mount Hor. Vespasian instructed Agrippa II to remove the body of Jesus from Mount Nebo and take it to the Vatican for the final burial. Mount Hor was Capitoline Hill. Mount Nebo was Mount Moriah or Gianocolo Hill. Luke 23:54. And it was the day of preparation, and the Sabbath was coming on. 15th of the 771 CE, Jesus' body was prepared for burial. It was close to midnight. 16th of the 771 CE, this was the 7th day of Sabbath, the day of complete rest. Genesis 50, verse 5. My father made me swear, saying, now I am about to die in my grave which I dug for myself in the land of Canaan. There shall you bury me. Now therefore please let me go up and bury my father, then I will return. Agrippa II asked to bury Simon Peter. Genesis 50, verse 6. And Pharaoh said, go up and bury your father, as he made you swear. Vespasian ordered Agrippa II to bury Simon. Jeremiah 22:19. He will be buried with the burial of a donkey, dragged and cast out beyond the gates of Jerusalem. Agrippa II took Simon's body on a donkey. He was buried outside the gates of Rome. Jeremiah 36:30. And his corpse will be cast out to the heat by day and to the frost by night. 1 King 13:29. And the prophet took up the corpse of the man of God and laid it on the donkey and brought it back. And it was brought to the city of the old prophet for mourning and for burial. Joseph took up the corpse of Jesus. Luke 24:12. But Peter rose up and ran to the tomb, and stooping to look in, he said he saw the linen cloths alone, and he went away to his own home, marveling at what had happened. Agrippa II left the linen cloth and headscarf in the first tomb. Genesis 12:6. And Abram passed through the land to the place of Shechem, to the oak of Moriah. Agrippa II traveled to the great tree at the Vatican. Matthew 27:33. And when they had come to a place called Golgotha, that is to say, place of a skull. Mark 15:22. And they brought him to the place Golgotha, which is interpreted the place of skull. Golgotha, the place of skull, was the Vatican. 1 Chronicles 10:12. All the valiant men rose up and took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons, and they brought them to Jabesh and buried their bones under the terebinth at Jabesh. And they fasted 7 days. The body of Simon Peter and parts of the bodies of his son that were not eaten. The bones of Simon's son Andrew and his grandson Eleazar, Ithamar, Nadab, and Abihu. 16th of the 771 CE, Romans buried Jesus on the 7th day of the Roman Sabbath. It was a Sabbath of complete rest. 1 Samuel 3:3. And Samuel was lying in the sanctuary of Yahweh, where the ark of God was. Jeremiah 3:16. Ark of the covenant of Jehovah. And it will not come to mind, nor will they remember it or visit it, and it will not be made again. Last Testament buried with Simon. Mark 16:1. After the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome bought spices so they might go to anoint the body of Jesus. 15th of the 771 CE, when the 6th day of Sabbath was over, Agrippa II family took spices. Luke 23:55. And the woman who had come together with him out of Galilee, followed after and beheld the tomb and how his body was laid. Bernice and Drusilla were from Israel. They took note of where Jesus was buried. Mark 15:47. And Mary the Magdalene and Mary the mother of Joseph saw where he was laid. Both women took note. They were Joseph's family and were Romans. Mark 15:40. And there were also some women looking on from a distance, among whom were Mary the Magdalene and Mary the mother of the younger James and of Joseph and Salome. They were watching from a distance. Matthew 27:59. And Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a clean, fine linen cloth. The linen cloths and headscarf were left in the first grave. John 19:40. Therefore they took the body of Jesus and bound it in linen cloths with the spices, as the custom of the Jews for burying. John 19:41. Now in the place where he was crucified, there was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb in which no one had ever yet been laid. The crosses and graves of the first burial was not in the garden. John 19:42. Therefore, because of the day of preparation for the Jews and because the tomb was near, they laid Jesus there. The garden referred to Golgotha Cemetery. 1 Kings 13:30. And he laid his corpse in his own grave and mourned over him, saying, Alas, my brother. Simon dug 2 graves. 1 Samuel 5:4. And when they arose early in the morning of the next day, there was Dagon, fallen on his face to the ground, before the ark of Jehovah. And Dagon's head and the palms of his hands were cut off, lying on the threshold. Only Dagon's trunk was left to him. 16th of the 771 CE, 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. Jesus' torso was left. He was buried without head, hands, and legs. Before the ark of Jehovah meant Simon's covenant, the last testament. 16th of the 771 CE referred to the next day. And what does it mean? After the third day of triumph, first burial, last supper, and second resurrection. All is correct, except Jesus resurrected before he was buried. Genesis 35:4. So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods which were in their hand, and the rings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the oak that was near Shechem. Verse suggests that Jesus wore rings on both ears. Foreign gods were Jewish gods, written in the book of iniquity. Jesus' body, his rings, and the book of iniquity, Jewish law, were buried in Golgotha Cemetery under the terebinth tree. 2 Chronicles 16:13. And Asa slept with his fathers and died in the 41st year of his reign. Jesus was 41 years old. Agrippa II family was Romans, and they were at the grave for the second burial. Jesus was buried in Golgotha Cemetery in the Vatican.